Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. In my last part 4 and part 5 videos, we have discussed about primitive and non-primitive data types. We've seen 8 types of primitive data types and, you know, started to discuss about non-primitive data types. One of these, a reference or non-primitive data type is a string, as you know. We have covered many important areas, if not all. Today, we will discuss on the second non-primitive data type, that is arrays. We'll see what it is with some real-time examples. So, with no delay, let's proceed. Let's proceed to discuss arrays. So here, as you can see here in the screen, here I've been writing, these 8 were primitive data types, but the others are reference data types, non-primitive data types. We have seen them. Only one we have seen, a string. Now we're gonna see the second one, that is array. So we'll see what it is and how it works in the program, how it works in program. Yeah, you can say to, array. Okay, if you say this, let me highlight this with, is my favorite color. Let me highlight this array. Okay, the array. So what is array? Especially array we use to store data. We have been, looking at, we have been discussing about the variables and, data types, right? Variables and data types. So this array is data type. So array, there is a way to declaring and using arrays. There is a way. So an array collects a sequence of values of the same type. An array collects a sequence of values, collects. So it collects the sequence, it collects the sequence of values of the same type. The same type. I mean, this is just normal. It's not, has to be highlighted. Okay. So it collects the sequence of values of the same type. That is, the same type means if it is storing string, then string only. If it is storing integer, integer only. If it is storing, Boolean, just Boolean only. If it is the collection, if it is storing any, just same type, collect the same type. If we have discussed, you remember about the, we have been talking about variables, right? So it's hard. Suppose you write a program, that records a sequence of values. That records a sequence of values. For instance, 10, 20, 5, any numbers like sequentially or non-sequentially 10 numbers. If you write 10 numbers, if you have 10 numbers, and if you want to print out those sequence, marking the largest value from this is harder, right? Before you finish, until you see the last value of the list you listed, until you see the last value, you cannot determine which one is the greatest, or the largest value. But you have to see the last value. So, for instance, if let's take some numbers like 10 numbers. If you take some 10 numbers, 10, or 15, or 16, 9, any number, you can give any number like 25, 27, 35, 34. So if you have 10 numbers, let me add some. By the way, it's good to. This is just not code. Just I'm talking about just example. 34. Like come back to some number like 7 or 55 and 68, any number. Actually, randomly I'm picking the numbers, right? Just randomly, but 10 numbers. Let's take 10 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are 9 numbers, right? Okay, let's take note. We are not highlighting these numbers, right? Okay, let's see these 10 numbers. If you want to collect the sequence, this first, this, the sequence of value of the same type, right? This is integer. All are integer. All are integer. Nothing is mixed here. So the same type. But if you want to print it out, the largest, if you want to print out the largest, so which one do you print? You don't know until you see the last, this one. Until you see, when you are just all the way, putting, you don't know. You don't know which value which to mark as the largest one until you have seen them all. You have to see all of them, right? To differentiate, you have to scan all of them to identify which one is the largest value. So the last value might be the largest one. You don't know, right? Therefore, so the program must first store all values before it can print them. For instance, if you store these numbers, by the way, I think array have to a kind of table, in a kind of table. Let me. There is a good drawing. We need some good drawing type of notepad. Okay, they don't have. I think. Yeah. this is not like Word. Maybe in Word I can show you in Word. Let's say home, and where is okay. Open search. Here you have, what is the graph here? Okay, okay. I think insert. Okay. Let's see. Let's see this. Let's take. Okay, let me add one more cell. Okay. Where is drawing? Let me insert number of columns just to. Okay, but here number of rows, insert number of. Okay, let me draw table. Okay, here you see no, not here, but take 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's only 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One of these should be. Just forget about the one. Okay, 1, 2. Let me. Okay, draw. Yeah, okay. No, no. Okay, take this as a box. In the box, just forget about the outside. So here, this is index. For instance, 0. Index starts from 0. And here, just 1. Index 2. Index 3. Index 4. Index 5. Index 6. Index 7. Index 8. Index 9. These are all 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are all 10, right? But these, when array, you store array in terms of okay, let's take this, for instance, 10, take this 10 and store it here in 0 index, the first index. We call it the first index. This is, so what is the first index? 0, 0 of 2. So how do we call this? 0, index, right? Index 0, 2. I mean 0, 10. That is how this gets stored. For instance, in first index, that is second actually. The first, it's just 1, but the second. So take 15. Okay, take 15. You store 15 here in the second step. The first, actually, this is first. 0, 0 is the first index. 1 is the second index. The second index. And here is the third index. Number 2 is so. And 16 also here, right? And also 9 here. Store 9 here. Store 27 here. And what else? Store the others. 7 here. Again, 7 here. Store 55 here. Store okay, 68 here. Store 34 here. Now we have one more here. So which one? So from all this, suppose you write a program that reads a sequence of values like this according to the index, right? And points out the sequence. So marking the largest value like this. So which one is the largest value here? Which one is the largest value? We don't know until we go through all. Like we have another here, another line, another bucket here. We need in this bucket, you also need to store another value. We don't know what value. Maybe it's the largest of all, or the least of all, or in the medium, or we don't know. See? Until we see all, we don't know which value we are storing. So it's hard to, until you finish, until you store all the elements. These are, we call them, these are elements, value, or elements. These are elements or value. Until you store all the elements, you cannot do a program. You cannot print out. You cannot use different methods. That is, the array comes into the picture. Array comes into the picture. In this case, you do not know which value to mark as the largest one until you have seen them all. After all, the last value might be the largest one, right? As I say, therefore, the program must first store all the values before it can print them. Before it even, so could you simply store each value in a separate variable? Consider this variable. If later on it is just consider it is not index but variables. It's X variable, Y variable, A variable, B, C. Just take it as variables even. If we simply store each value in a separate variable, if you know that there are 10 values, then you could store the values in 10 variables, right? 10 variables. Variable 1, 10, variable 2, 15, variable 3, 16, variables. So you store according to the variable, that is very hectic. So, however, such a sequence of variables is not very practical to use. So that is why we need array. So you'd have to write, quite a bit of code 10 times, you're going to write a code 10 times if you are storing in a variable. Just remember this point. Once for each of the variables, you're going to write 10 times. You are going to write a code 10 times for each one of them. So in Java, an array is much better choice for storing a sequence of value of the same type. If it is integer, right? If it is integer like this, so array is the best choice. Why? You can create an array that can hold 10 values of type, any type, double or any type. Okay, let me just erase these all. You don't need, but okay, just have a little concept on this. Okay, here, now let's, as I said, if you are storing 10 values in 10 variables, it's hectic. If you are retrieving or printing out for each value, for each variable, you have to print or you have to program 10 times for each one of them once. That is very, very hectic. But in array case, if it is the same type, it's not a problem. You can just declare once all of them, and you can print just all of them once. That is why array is preferable when it comes to the picture. So because we create an array, that can hold 10 values of type, any type double. For instance, if we are storing double values, so we create what? We create an array that holds 10 double values. 10 double values. Just one array, it can hold all 10 double values. That is why it is preferable than storing values in a variable, right? So declaring. How do we declare? Declaring variables. Declaring an array. An array. How do you declare an array? You just declare before. There is another way, initialization, or initialization. You initialize, and also before initializing, you declare. How do we declare? For instance, I was talking about double, right? Say double. By the way, this is the array sign. You see this? We call it array. This is array sign. Double array, we call it double array. Double array. Then values. Semicolon. So here we declare. This is the declaration. So this is a declaration. We declared an array. This is how you declare double or integer. You can say the same type. Should be the same type. Integer. Array. This is array sign. Values. So this is how you declare. If you are asked how do we declare arrays, this is the way how you declare. We'll check as we code, but there is another step that is, we call it initialization. Array initialization. Array initialization. There is array initialization. You initialize, you declare. You don't just declare, but also you initialize, right? You initialize. So how do we initialize an array? For instance, the same this double array, for instance, double. So this, just make it this small letter. You don't need it. It doesn't matter. Okay, now initialization. Let's come say double, double array, then what? Values, right? The name of array is values is equal to, we are initializing now, new. Now this array is gonna be stored in memory, in Java memory. Whenever we use the word new, it's gonna be stored in Java memory. So new double, right? That's how we initialize, right? We initialize double. So you see, you don't need here the array. Here the array is 10 and semicolon. Now we initialized here. You see, we wrote with variables. It's different. You may write 10 times with variables, but with array, you see, one time, just 10. You see, 10 values. double array values is equal to new double 10. So you are storing in just in array 10 values, but you are storing just once. So that is what makes array is very much different. So the array size is, what is the size? This 10 is the size of array. Tells you the size of an array of size 10. Now values, values, you see these values. Now values is initialized with an array of 10 numbers. 10 numbers. There are 10 numbers which we wrote. You remember those? So by default, each number in the array is, each number in the array is 0 until it is initialized. So all are, double array. So how do we say that when you declare an array, you can specify the initial value? For example, double array, more values, you can 10 values, 10 different values, the values which I wrote already, right? For instance, these 10 values must be different, right? Like, how do we double array? So double array, more values or other values. Other values is equal to, is equal to, if in the set, you can say 10, 9, 34, and 3, 5, 20, anything. 8, how many? 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is you? You see this value? Here 10 means double. Other values are 10 values. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you supply initial value, you don't use the new operator, right? Because the compiler, it determines the length of the array by just counting the initial values. So that means to access a value in an array, you specify which slot you want to use. That's done with the array operator. For instance, this, as I said, okay, here, let me one thing. I have shown you the index, right? So here, for instance, array4, okay, here, for instance, 0, let me just say, corresponding 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see this? So this 0 goes to this 10, is the corresponding 0, This is index. Just call it index, right? So the index is a index. So, but its corresponding element. And these in 0 index, you store 10. In 1 index, you store 9. In 2 index, 34. In 3 index, it corresponds to all of these numbers. So if you want to do for instance, give me the fours, what is the fours index? What is the element which is stored in the fours element? This 0, here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 55 is in fours. You see here, 0 is 1, 0, or 0, just this is 1, 2, and 3, 4, yeah, 5. Okay. For instance, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how do you find the value 4? Okay, how do you array? Let's say array 4. So which one is array value? Okay, values. Let me say values. Values array 4 is equal to what? What is it? Find this. What is values 4? In what index it is stored? I mean, in 4's index, in array 4 means in 4's index. So what value is stored? What is the value? What is the value? Okay, let's see which value it is. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 55. So here the answer is 55. The answer is 55, right? Values 4 is 55. If I say like values 'array 7 or 8, what is the value? What the value here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 44. You see here? This is how it works. This index. This is the index. You store an index. You store value 4. I mean, value 55 in index 4, in array 4. You stored 44 in array 8 or index 8. That is how you store an array. Okay, that's how you store an array. So if you want to, that is, we call it, how the number 4 slot of value is filled with 35. I mean, it is called an index, actually. Yeah. Each slot, right? Each slot, as I shown you, the graph, the chart, each slot in an array contains an element, one element, because values is an array of double values. Each element value, can be used like any variable of type, double, string, number, integer, anything. So it's very, very important concept. But today we'll do some work on array. So in array, so what's the benefit of array? Array data type. It's very. It has a limitation, but array is, you have to know some behavior of arrays. Arrays. Array has a limited size. Array has a limited, it has size. The size, this is size 10. For instance, this is 10 size 10, right? You cannot store 15 size or 20 size or 30 size, but 10 size, the size. If you say, like, if you declare here, if the value you initialize is 10, you can initialize in any number here, right? In any number, but it's limited. Unnecessary memory waste, because you cannot modify. Array has limited size. If once created, not modifiable. Once created, not modifiable. That is the problem. Array is not, you cannot modify. So it's just unnecessary memory waste. It has not enough room to, to store many elements as you need, or different types. You cannot even do different types. Only homogeneous data. Only if it is only numbers, just numbers only. If string, only string. You cannot store a string and integer or double and integer in the same, in the same bucket. No, you cannot do that. So you may do object, actually, in a different way, but you cannot do that. There is no underlying data structure. So the limitation of arrays is, you have to mention 3 things. One, it is fixed in size and can hold only homogeneous data, only the same type of data. Homogeneous, not heterogeneous. It's same type of. Homogeneous means same type of data. It holds only same type of data. Another thing is no underlying data structure. It has no ready-made methods. So that means you cannot code an array easily as you do in collection. We'll discuss later on about collection. Later on, the collection is the best way, better than array. We'll see that later on. So here it's homogeneous data. It is fixed in size, and also no ready-made data structure to code freely. So it's a problem. So what is the advantage of array is comparing to, you know, the other. So it's different actually. Multiple values using single variable, but you can store multiple values, 10, for instance. We stored 10 elements in just single array, right? That is how it's important, because you can, the readability of the code will be very good, improved that way. The readability, for readability, it is very good. Yeah, it's you know, variable, but in terms of variable, it's different, right? You have to do a programming 10 times, right? When you are doing just one time in array, that's the advantage of yeah, advantage over you know, variable, over a variable. But the negative side, the limitation of arrays are fixed in size, as we said. Once you are created array, there is no way, no chance of increasing due to use arrays. You don't just increase. If you know, initialized with 10, you know, like this, initialize with 10 here, you cannot do it 20, even 11. You cannot even add or minus 9 or something. But you know, the memory gives you only limited 10. For 10, if it is double, for 10 double space, or you will have 10 space only. So you cannot change, increase or decrease. You cannot do based on your requirement. You cannot do that. So if you know the size you are working, you are programming, the size in advance, that's not, sometimes it is very good. Yeah, it's good to use arrays. So arrays concept is, it has not very standard. We'll see in terms of its size, and from coding perspective also we'll see about the arrays, array. So once you declared, if you 100, once you initialize, it's hard. Okay, let me code. Let me give you some declaration and some code on arrays. Let's open to our IntelliJ IDE. Okay, IntelliJ IDE. Show you some coding examples of array. I said, I told you how to declare array, int array or double array or anything, and also then how to initialize instantiation or initialization. Instantiation is new int, and you just allocate the value, right? The array number. That is initialization. So there are many different ways you can combine, or even you can do differently. So declaring and instantiation and initialization all together. How do you do all together? For instance, you can combine. For instance, int, this is data type, int array numbers is equal to new, is equal to new. Even you cannot, even not mandatory to say new, like you can put numbers like 10, 15, 12, and 5, any number. To, you can do combine this way. You have initialized, you have also declared, instantiated, initialized, and also declared. This is combined way of doing that, right? This is the combined way. You see, there is no error here. So, warning sign, but that you can make it. Okay. So this is, combining of all of them. So in array, if someone asks you what is the default values in array, the default values according to data type, for instance, int, the default value is 0. For int array, if the default value is int array x is equal to, then what? 0. This is the default size, the default of integer. The default is x 0. The default value is 0. Boolean. For Boolean, Boolean, true or false, right? Boolean array, it is false. Boolean array y is false. That's the default. Okay, let me say default values. Even if you don't do anything, if you don't declare or if you don't, initialize, just the default, by default, it for integer, it gives you 0. For Boolean, it's false. Not true, it's false. The default is false. For float, precision, right? Float, you see, it for float array, z, for instance, we call it 0.0. You have float. Yeah, you have to add f here to make sure it is float. Yeah, float. So for float, the default is 0.0. It's good to know. Please, for Boolean it is false. For integer it is 0. For float it is 0.0, f. And for double, okay, for double, the same, but here we use for double. Let me, okay. For double, it is the same, like float. What is going on here? Let me see. Double. You see, it is 0 but you have to differentiate double D. You have to put F for float, D for double, because they are the same value, right? Default value, the same default value. So you can differentiate. This is D is F. So these are the default values. Okay. If you are not doing anything, if you are not creating an array, just this is the default value. There is object also. Object. It's amazing. If for object, you have object here. For object, you have just null. You see null? It gives you null. The default value for object is null, right? So this is very important to note. I mean, default value, the default value for these 5: int, integer, boolean, float, double, object. So the values are different. Especially for boolean, it is false. For object, this is null. I think all of you know what null is. Null is different from zero, different from empty place. Null means you just temporarily you put null. Later on, when you find the value, you come back and replace that value to null. That's the idea of null. It's not empty place. Null means it's not zero. It's not equal to zero or something. Null even in database, in programming language, anywhere you find this null, as most of the time, you know, it's very frequent null. But in production environment, in unchecked, it's one of unchecked error. There is a null pointer exception, but there is a safety that is optional in Java 8. You can find, but here it is object is null. That is the default value for all of this. Yeah, and so accessing array, you know, the length of traversing array, there are many different ways working in array. For instance, if I give you one example, one or two, how array works, because you can do your own research working on array. For instance, okay, let me comment this note. Let me comment. And write int array. So it's int array. Don't forget this. With array, you have to use this sign. It's array size. Int array. Okay, let's just, I think you understand this way, right? It's not combined. It's not initialized. It's just what? Declared. This is just declaration of array, right? I declared here array. Now let me instantiate or initialize values is equal to new int, right? New int, but here I have to initialize with 100, limited, right? You cannot, once you created this, Once you created 100 array, then you cannot change the value to 200 or even another type because it is int. So you have to put int here, integer 100. Could be 10, integer 50, but once. So so if you here, for instance, values, let's say values okay here, let's say values array, just give 3, index is equal to 8. If I say like that, you see here values 3 is 8, so value is going to be 100, right? Okay, now let me print this value. Let me print. Okay, let me print value 3 here. Just take this and values. No, values array 3. You see, this is values 3, right? Okay, I'm gonna tell you how you cannot change this, right? Let's print and see what it gives us. Eight. You see, it is giving us 8, right? Printing 8. Because it is in the range in this 100, right? Because this is 100, right? Okay, now one thing, we call it this 100, right? Let's put it 101. Let's change to 101 here. Okay, let's print now this. Is it gonna give us 8 or not? Okay, let me print. Okay, let me. Okay. Okay, what about here 101? Even if you put it 100 here. You see, it gives us array index out of bounds exception. You see here? This is the exception, the error. Array index out of bounds exception. So when you are putting, okay, you can print, let me just say 101 even here. 101. You see, the same. Array index out of bounds exception. Why? You cannot create, you cannot increase, or you cannot decrease. Once it is 100, it's 100, in the range of 100. You cannot do 100, any, even, let me put 90, for instance. Array, you cannot change. Okay, 90. It does. Why? 100 is in the range of 90. It prints. Okay, here, let's go. The problem is I have to change here to 90. Here also 90, but it's gonna print here. You see 8, it's giving us 8, right? When it is 90, yes. Because this is from 0 to 100. 0 to 100 is okay. Any number 0 to any number 0 to 100 is fine. But if it exceeds its array, for example, let me give here, okay, 100, and here 0. Okay, still you'll get 100, right? Because it's in the range of 100. 0. Why it is 0? Because it's 100. 0 is not integer, I mean, in the 100. So even if, say, 1, for instance, 1, just you have to say 1 here. Okay, how is it gonna print 100? You see, even 0, yeah, 0, and also 0 here. Okay, let's see, because this is index, there is index 0, right? It should give us 100. Yeah, it's 100. You see, but the only problem is 120 or anything 100, but here it's always the same. You see, you are printing this, right? So here, when you are printing this, you have to use the same. So here now it's gonna give us error. Why? It's array bound. It's over 100. 120 is over this 100. So this limits. That means you have box. In the box, there are 100 elements. From those 100 elements, if you are taking 120, 101, there is no elements there, right? One element is not there, only 100 are there. 101 is, so it's gonna give you error. You cannot take 101. That is what the array gonna tell you. Okay, let me show you this. It says, you see here, this array index out of bound exception. Exception means we'll discuss about exception, what exception is. So exception is it's just exception is error. So it is error. You cannot do this. You cannot increase or decrease. For example, decrease in a sense, take minus 100, or here say minus 100. Let's decrease. Can you decrease? Okay, let's see. It's still the same. Array index out of bound exception. Not only increase, you cannot even decrease. Once created 100, you cannot increase. Okay, that is what the array is. If you have this concept, declaration concept, instantiation concept, initialization concept, and also you cannot change concept. And also you have to know that array is a fixed size, right? Yeah, it is fixed size. This you have to know. And about array, what else? It's not ready-made for coding. Yeah, and also it's homogeneous, just one type. If it is int, just take int. Double, takes double, just double. It's not gonna, and also once created, you cannot change, I mean, increase or decrease the element. So overall, we discussed about an array concept. What very good thing about array is what is the importance? It is like variables, comparing to variables. You know, with the variables, you may store all the 10 elements, right, differently in 10 values, you know, all the values in 10 variables. You know, in 10 variables means when you are programming, you do a programming 10 times for 10 elements. But the array is different. You just store one. You see, for 100 elements, right? You initialize 100 here. It's once, even 100, not 10, let alone you can do 1,000, 10,000, million, any, just once in one array. You can store how many values? Thousands, any amount. You can do that, but it is what? Once you create it, you cannot change, increase or decrease. You know, that is the only problem. That's the problem. So its advantage is, array's advantage is, if you know ahead of time, you know, if the memory, you know, if you know what you are doing, if you know ahead of time, array is good. The size, if you already determined the size, then it is good. It helps array in small, you know, sometimes you don't have to go to collection, but also you can work this array like small programs, not very big, you know, very big enterprise programs, but small programs you can code using array. If you know, pre-understanding is there. If you know the size ahead of time, then it is important. But if you don't know the size ahead of time, then it is painful. Because you cannot increase or you cannot decrease depending on your you know requirement. So that's the hard part. So let me do another example, just coding example. So the concept is very important. I'm just giving you guidance, not everything on array, not everything, because I'll give you the area which you should do. For instance, let me do one int just for coding exercise. Just for coding exercise, int array values is equal to any number, new int numbers to lengths. I don't know where it's bringing this from. Okay, new int array, right? New int array. Okay, we can do actually, you know, initialize numbers. Doesn't matter. Or one for my. Let me make it different numbers. This is type 4 error. Okay. Now, let me do the loop, for loop, for each loop, for loop, you know that, right? For loop, int I is equal to 0, values dot length. Yeah, here just change values dot length just increase by 1. This is, just increase by 1, and then now you do what? Okay, here you need parentheses, no values, right? 2 values here. Okay, just ignore this because you don't need all this. But okay, the code is correct. Here is for loop, it loops 1, 4, 9, 16. Int I is equal to 0, I greater than length values. These are values, right? I less than values dot length, the length, right? 4, length 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And increase by 1, if it is greater. Okay, let's see. You see here 149,916. Okay. But it is not greater, right? It's not less than 149. 149. Okay. Let me. Go here. No, it's not here. Yeah. Now That's right. You see 1, 4, 9, 16. 1, 4, 9, 16. So it's not, the value. If I print I is equal to 0, right? As less than values dot length, then if it is greater than values, then I plus plus. So it's not increasing this way. So that is how this works. And also I have another code. This is for loop, actually. Everyone knows about this for loop. And yeah, actually, there are some sophisticated type of, array, very um, array. Array used to store, the meaning as you have said here, array. Yeah, array, right? I've already said actually that array okay, array is used to store what? Multiple values, right? As I, you know, multiple values in a single variable. That is the concept of array. This defines array very well. That's why it's preferable than variables, right? That's what we have been discussing. This is a very, very important point. Yeah, for instance, okay, in coding, let me do one coding again. String, we did, or only integer, right? But let's do variety of types like string. You can check string to make this. Okay. So let's let me do string array. String array. Yeah, string array animals is equal to like every string is in the double bracket we have already seen, right? Dog, right? Dog. Yeah. Dog, cat, rat, fish, these are all animals, right? These are all animals. So if this is, this stores, this is animal array, this is stored in 0 index, this is in 1 index, this is in 2 index, this is fish is in 3rd index, right? Okay. So how do we retrieve then? How do we retrieve? For instance, animals index 0, for instance. Index 0, is equal to index 0 is equal to, say, any different animals. Wow. Okay, if I say like cow, I said animals, right? In 0 index, I say cow. Then you see, cow is not there, right? Cow is not there, not here in the list, right? So if I say system, okay, system dot out println animals index of 0. If I say, what do you think it prints? Okay, let's print this code. You see, it's printing as cow, even if cow is not there, in the list. Here you see. So this is 0. So you inserted somewhere in 0 index is animal 0 cow. Or oxen, for instance. Say oxen. You see oxen. Anything. You can print. Not only these are already, but you can manipulate this way also. If add non-existing element, throws an index arrays index out of bound exception. So if you add non-existing element, it throws arrays index out of bound exception. So to fix add an element or access only existing. You can add, for instance, this element, right? Add this element, or just do existing only. Existing only. For instance, if you say here dog, it's only gonna print what? Existing. You see here dog, right? Existing elements are, these are existing. Cat, but it is 1 actually, right? But yeah, it prints, doesn't matter. You see cat. Or you can add another element here. Like I said, oxen. It's not here, right? It's not in the list here. It's not in the initialization here, but it is where? Added. Animals at the 0 index, add oxen. That's why I said what? If you add non-existing element here, non-existing element, it gives you what? If you add non-existing element, it throws arrays index out of bound exception. So to fix, just add. To fix, just add, right? An element or access only existing there. So if you add integer elements, type mismatch. For instance, here, if you say 10 instead of, you see, 10. Here is in, a string, but I said 10. Let's do type mismatch. Why? Why is printing it? Because it is it expects as string, because we are not, we shouldn't do this here. But now we see the mismatch, type mismatch. Incompatible types, or yeah, incompatible type, error. You see, this is error. Incompatible type. That is, mismatch. So you cannot do for a string just numbers, right? Yeah. So here, just put quotation and any animal here. You can put horse. Anything, right? Then you can print horse here. Yeah, that is type in mismatch, array bound of there are many problems. So how do you add other? How do you add? For instance, okay, let me add elements. How do you add elements to array? How do you add elements? Now let's do again additional way to write an array. String, string array, string array. Yeah, string array. What can I say? String array plants. Fruits. Say fruits. String array fruits. And then is equal to new string, right? New string. Okay, here, new string. Ah. Okay, new string. We don't need this. New string. We are gonna initialize. We give 3 array capacity, the capacity of this array string array fruits is 3. Now, how many can we add? Only 3, right? Only 3. We cannot add more than 3. Okay, let's add. How do we add? Fruits. Okay, fruits. Yeah, fruits array 0 index. Fruits array 0 index is equal to orange. Okay, this is 1, and the same fruits. Yeah, fruits 1, apple, and also fruits 2, banana. right? So these are three elements, right? Here we have three. We have already defined three, but here already we have three: orange, apple, banana. 0 index, 1 index, 2 index. 0 index, 1 index, 2 index. And in 0 index, we stored orange. In 1 index spot, we stored apple. In 2 index spot, we stored banana. Okay, let's print. It can easily print this, right? Yeah. Function system. Okay. Fruits 0 and 0 index. For this orange, it's gonna print orange here because it is 0, right? We stored in 0 index, we stored orange. So system.out.println fruits 0 index and then 0 array or 0 index. It's gonna print this one only. Okay, let's see what it's gonna print. You see orange. Okay, it prints orange. Same thing for 1, 2, 0, 1, apple, right? In 1, it's apple. Let's change 2 here. Banana. Okay, we have how many? But what if we say 3? 3. Do you think we have? Do we have a 3 index? Here we have 3, but we don't have 3, right? 0, 1, 2. Okay, let's see. You see here already arrays index out of bound exception. You can memorize this exception. What kind of, there are many exceptions, right? So this exception is arrays index out of bound exception, out of boundary, out of boundary. The boundary is 2, but we are printing out of bound exception. So you cannot do, you can with 0, 1, 2. Okay, what if we add another third? Okay, copy here. Okay, if we copy here, let's say 3, and let's say here another, not orange, apple, banana, berry, strawberry. So, and then if we print 3, what do you think? Is it gonna print? Because we have already say 3 here, limited 3, but we have 4. Is it gonna do? What do you think? Strawberry? No. Yeah, this is very important for interview questions. Okay. Array index out of bound exception. Array index out of bound exception. You see here, we have all initialized, declared and initialized only 3. We limited for 3 elements. Only 3 elements here, right? We have limited the space. Consider this is a box, a one box. And this box's capacity is just 3 elements. Can you add 4th one? No. That's why it's giving us error here. You see, you don't see error right here. You can write this way, but you have already declared and initialized in 3. So you cannot add these 4s. 0, 1, 2. These are 3, right? Orange, apple, banana. 4s, no. What about if we say 4 here? Now, okay, what about strawberries? Do you think strawberry is gonna be printed? Let's see. Yes, strawberry. See, that is what we said. You cannot add once you are limited the space. Okay, now for now, let's take 4. Okay, this is how it works. Don't forget this, how to code. It's very important in your coding exam or any, there is certification exam. It's important, to understand these things in array. Then the rest you can do by yourself, right? This is just guidance. I'm just guiding you. There are some other concepts also in terms of, this array. There are many concepts. Yeah. So what about all the elements, for instance? For all the elements, to return all the elements, you have to do in a different way. Let me check if it works, if I have not forgotten that. For instance, for int, for int, it's a loop actually. I, okay. Okay, let me just put here not to just let's use the same here fruits instead of lanes. Yeah, lanes in numbers dot length, right? Not numbers, fruits. Let me say fruits here. Okay, I say FU. Yes, that I mean fruits actually, but I missed the spelling. It means fruits, but we have to be consistent, right? Here we say fuse, change to fruits in both places. Actually, fruits, right? Fruits, and also you have to change here in 3 places. Fruits, and also here fruits. You see now we are fine. You don't see. Okay, this is for loop. Now let's print. Okay, let's print system.out.println fruits. Yeah, if we do this, okay, let me. Oh, these have to be change it also again. Just add R, add R, add R, add R, right? It's now right. Okay, now let's print this. This is going to give us the whole, print the whole, right? Yeah, you see here the whole strawberry, orange, apple, banana, strawberry. You see here. So this code makes, we were printing just one by one, right? We were printing by one by one. But to print all of them together, you have to write this code. For this is, we call it for loop. So we are working on fruits, right? For int I is equal to 0 and I less than fruits dot length increase by 1 system dot fruits I. So when you do the, you print all of them to print all of them. Okay, don't forget this. Yeah, you have to work on this. This is very important way of coding. An array. Okay, there are different ways: two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional arrays. But you have to, now you have to work on how, you know, two-dimensional and three-dimensional array. So two-dimensional array, it's we call it an array of array. Okay, there are, the one we have been looking at is one-dimensional array, right? This array, all this we have been coding this just one-dimensional array. It is one-dimensional array. But now let's do the two-dimensional array. Let me comment this code. Okay, two-dimensional array. Before that, let's discuss here. And there are, okay, especially work on this. If I am not doing even, there are two and three dimensional arrays. Now we are gonna just check the second two-dimensional array. The third you can yourself research. Okay, we're not doing everything, right? I'm just guiding you. So what do we mean two-dimensional array? Means two-dimensional array. Yeah, two-dimensional array is, you know, an array of arrays. An array of arrays equals an array of arrays. It's an array of arrays. That's how we call. So let me let me just give you one example, this two-dimensional array. Just one example. Then after you can develop or do by yourself, right? Just I'll do two-dimensional array only. For instance, if let's do string, you know, two-dimensional, we are talking about just arrays, right? Now let's do array, right? Two-dimensional array. Say fruits, right? Fruits and new string. Now let's here we have two arrays, right? Let's do 3. Let's determine the value, or I mean, of this 3. Okay, now let's enter fruits. Okay, fruits. You see 0 here. Yeah, and also that's awesome. I think enough. Um, you see here, let me change this. Apple, orange, watermelon, pineapple is to why pineapple? Something different. Lemon. Peach. All right. Okay. You see here, it's different. It's not 1, but 2. Fruits 0. You know, what does that mean? You know, to access, okay, to access all of them at once, we have to do a code like that, but these are not only 1, these are 2. One has to be nested. Nested means, you know, loop in a loop, right? Loop in a loop. If one is I, this is I value because it is 1. One of these is I value, another one is maybe J value or anything, any L value, or so we can use another value. So how do we, to access all of the elements, the nested loop? We use the nested loop. We call it nested loop. How do we do the nested loop? For int I is equal to I less than, for int I, okay, I is equal to 0, I less than, here it is fruits. No, sorry. For let's take these fruits, not numbers. Why it's saying numbers? Fruits. Okay. For int I is equal to 0, I less than fruits, dot length then increase by 1, I plus plus, increasing by 1. And then what you are doing is now j in this loop, another loop. This loop is I loop, right? I loop. See I, but this loop is j. You see, it is indented even in this loop because there are two column and row kind of. One is row, one is as row, one is as column. Okay, then for in the same thing, j is equal to 0. J is equal to 0. So j less than fruits, j less than fruits. And here is I dot length I plus plus. Yeah. Now you can print. You see, you can print system dot out println. Now here fruits. Sorry, fruits. You see fruits here. Fruits I. Okay. Fruits I and also j. Here you have to say j, not only I. Okay, here a little bit there is problem. Let me fix this. Let me fix this. Okay. Fruits. Yeah, fruits I. And here j. Right, j. Then here plus. Yeah. Yeah, plus. Okay. Okay. Nice. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let me see. No, this is not the right way. Shouldn't do the way. For j is equal to, okay, no need of this. Okay, j is equal to j plus plus, right? Oh, okay, yeah. Here, for int I is equal to 0, I less than fruits dot length I plus plus. That's right. Okay, you have to print this. Yes. Okay, you have to print this. Yeah. Then the first you have to print this, right? Then Even you don't need println. You don't need all these. Yeah, you don't need all this because these are not the right way to coding. So here, what you are doing is now another for loop for another for loop. Okay, this is for j, right? For int j is equal to 0, j roots and I, that's right, length j plus plus. Now system.out.println fruits ij. Yeah, now it's right. See? Yeah. Okay, here. Just add one color brace. Another color brace. Yeah. Yes, you see now, error free. It's error free now, because I forgot this. I used this long time actually. I'm new Java 8 and above. We've been working. So this for loop is, it's till Java 7. Okay, now let's do this. Is we call it what? We call this way of coding two-dimensional array. Two-dimensional array. Okay. Ah. Two-dimensional array. Okay, now let's print this code. Yeah, you see, apple, orange, watermelon, pineapple, lemon, peach, null, null, null. Why is null, null, null? Process finished. Yeah. So you have to do a different, you see, apple, orange, watermelon, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, right? And 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. These are, 1 is orange and 0 is, yeah, the repetition was right here. Pineapple, for instance. There's like, say, pineapple. Yeah, pineapple. And also here also pineapple. Because 1, 1 is the same, right? Yeah. Now let me print this. You see, and now 3, apple, orange, watermelon, pineapple, 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 null, null, null. There is, that is how this code prints. Okay, just try to understand why this happened. Dimensional array, two-dimensional array. This is two-dimensional array. So it works, the code works, but there is some things to discuss, to research for you. So three-dimensional and this array you can do by yourself. For now, we are gonna complete here Thank you very much. That's enough for today. Thank you very much. Just practice. I encourage you practicing and sharing to your friends. You know, if you share, many friends may take advantage of it. So please help, as I'm willing to help you, just help others. Just do the same thing to others and try to guide them and help them, guide them to teach themselves, you know, programming language. And I highly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube and share to friends and also like it and do whatever you like, you know, that may encourage me to keep doing. Thank you very much. For today, we're gonna stop here. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.